Boom, baby. We started doing this, what, a year and a half ago or something like that. We didn't know our butt from a hole in the ground. And I'm just so proud how everything has moved forward, and everybody knows what they're doing now. And I'm proud of my staff. I have to say that, because the first time when I said we were going to do virtual meetings, they looked at me like I had snakes coming out of my head, and they're doing such a good job today with it. But I'm Ginger Collins. I think most of you do know me. I'm the executive director of the Gold's Gym Franchisee Association. Excuse me. And I have been for 17 years. And prior to that, I was a Gold's Gym franchisee. And I have been with Gold's Gym now since 1989, which is before probably many of you were born. But we won't go there today, will we? So my job today is to keep Blair McHaney in line. And I'm the only one that probably can do that. And I'm going to introduce everyone to Blair McHaney, who is the CEO of MX Metrics, and is a sister company to Medallia. And he actually worked with Medallia, what, 4 years or something like that. Yeah. Years ago, right, Blair?
I did.
He's also CEO of, excuse me, of his own gyms, works in Wenatchee, Washington, which nobody knows where that is.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, he thinks everybody does. But no, Blair is a good friend, former Gold's Gym franchisee, and just a really good friend of the brand, the franchisees. And we absolutely, he's brilliant, number one. I don't say that publicly too often in front of him. I say it to other people behind his back, but he really is one of the smartest people and donates his time. And I've never seen anybody that likes to learn as much as Blair and likes to teach as much as Blair, but he probably got that from his dad, because his dad was an English teacher. But so I'm going to turn it over, and let me just do say a couple of little logistical things. If you got any questions, you can either do one of two things. I think we all know how to do this now. You either want to raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or you can chat me, and I'll be watching in the chat box for any questions. And Blair, do you want people just to ask questions as we go along?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
Okay. That's what
I'm very comfortable with this audience.
Okay. I do have to say one more thing too. And all the franchisees on the right here in this session right now have heard me say this many, many times, but I've known Blair for 20 years. And I used to say he was like the brother I never had. Okay. And then after I got to know him even more, I used to say that he was like one of my ex-husbands. And now I say, now after all these years, I say that he's like all my ex-husbands combined into one. So there you go. You can figure that out, right? So, all right, all yours, Blair.
Okay, thank you. So this is a hill I decided to die on a long time ago, this idea of member experience. And I think that probably happens a lot of times, not because you're successful, but because you're not. And you're not in a market that, washes over you and it makes you, instantly have a profitable business. Instead, you get behind the eight ball and you're trying to figure things out. You fight for retention, and pretty soon you become, very obsessed with this idea of member experience. So this has been pretty much my entire life's journey in fitness, and then to see it really come to fruition and actually help our clubs be far more profitable, help other clubs be far more profitable. The tour of duty I was able to do at Medallia and work with enterprise level companies. We had Medallia to this day has about 93% market share in hospitality, does some of the biggest and best brands in the world that you've all heard of. And these companies all focus on their customer experience, right? So when I say there's money in the member experience, it's not just a ploy. It is an operating model that drives ROI. So each year we do at the end of the year, we do our 5 Nines Awards. And this is a bit of a takeoff on 99.999% uptime in SaaS software, which is sort of the holy grail of uptime. Most SLAs will say we guarantee 99.99%. So we did a little takeoff on that. But what the 5 nines are is at the end of the year, we look at a trailing 6 month across all of the companies that we work with, all of the locations that we work with. And any location that has achieved a 9.0 average or higher on a trailing 6 month metric in 5 categories receives a 5 nines award. They have window sticker decals, they have press releases they use in their marketplaces. And it turns out this is becoming a fairly coveted. And my clubs this year did not get this. And the reason I didn't, because we didn't have enough data. We have to ensure that you have enough data to qualify. Well, we've been closed so much of the time that we actually didn't have enough pieces of feedback to qualify for it. So we take it very, very seriously. Whether somebody uses MXM or not, we believe this should become an industry standard of excellence. I don't care what software they use. There are 5 areas of nines that people should be focused on. So we standardize this. The reason I want to call this out is because what we have learned from the companies, we go back and we interview a lot of these companies, especially companies that weren't there before and now show up there. We want to learn how they've been using the system, how they've been using best practices. Are there other things we can learn from them? There are 4 critical categories here: front desk staff friendliness, overall gym cleanliness, overall staff friendliness, gym cleanliness, and likelihood to recommend. As most of you should know, likelihood to recommend is the question from which you create a net promoter score. It in and of itself is not net promoter score. You create one from the likelihood to recommend question. Then we have 5 flex categories. We have 5 flex categories because we know the impact of each one of these on member loyalty. And this is open to any operating model, whether they have big locker rooms or whether they have personal training or not. So that's why the 5 flex categories. Not easy to maintain a 9.0 in each of these in a trailing 6 month. But if you are, you're probably operating with loyalty as a strategy, not as a here's some software, hand it off to somebody else and let's see if we can make it work. In our world, there's I'm going to overgeneralize the 3 types of customers that we sell to. These were the earliest adopters when we first came out. It might not be a surprise to anybody that Joe Cerulli at Gainesville Health and Fitness was our very first customer. They just say, like, you don't have to prove ROI to me. We just have this belief that we should be excellent all the time. That's what we do. We believe in customer experience and member experience. And so that's our expectation. The member experience is the product. That's what our culture is. That's what we teach. That's how we support our teams. And so, yeah, now that I can measure it, now I really have something. That's sort of the first category. The second category, then, kind of the next followers that came into our product. And remember, these are the people that we're learning from. These are the people that start to get these 5 nines awards now. And they said, okay, maybe I believe you, but I want to see if people really make money doing it. Are they really? Because I have a subscription fee on the software, and then there's some effort we put in on this. Do we really make money? And by the way, it's not new effort. It's the same effort you're already doing. It's just redirecting it and making it more efficient, making it more efficacious, the effort that you put in. And that it starts to impact the member experience more and more. So those are the followers. And the last category, I sort of say is, I'm not really interested in excellence except at selling. I am overgeneralizing this a little bit. I'll tell you that there are a lot of gym operations that believe in the member experience. They believe the member experience impacts their bottom line. They believe a better member experience would make them more money. That when they onboard their employees, they talk about member experience. They might have a 1 day or even a 1 week onboarding process that really focuses on member experience. But when those employees get dropped into operations, the operations are completely unmoored from the training. And so they go into the operations and they find out that the metrics that are driving everything in that building are just sales. So there's this completely unmoored operations from the belief of what the strategy is. And so I'm here to sell and on the idea. I'm not selling you my software. You guys have the software. You guys have medallions available to all of you. And it's then how do you use it? Now we are MXM is medallion. MXM stands for member experience metrics, and it is specifically designed around ROI. Our new product MXM Plus was informed by doing this for years, by understanding the customer journey, and by learning from our best customers. So I'm going to take you through just a couple of quick frameworks, and I'm just
Hey Blair, you may want to tell everybody who that guy is. Not everybody here probably knows who it is.
Oh, come on, everybody knows who this is. He's the most interesting man in the world.
Just making sure.
So two quick frameworks. How you drive member experience in an organization, and then what the member life cycle looks like. Then we're going to actually look at some data, and I'm going to take you through what we call our money on concepts. It starts by putting your member experience vision and your core purpose at the center. For us, it is to be, the benchmark of great customer experience, regardless of vertical, price point, or geography. In other words, we want our gyms to be looked at by retail, by hospitality. How did they do that? Core purpose is to create loyal, lifelong fans and exercise practitioners. So we think about that and we put that at the middle. And that is the design parameters now for everything else that we do. This could be a brand new company. It could be a company that's 40 years old, could go through the same process. Then we look at all key policies, procedures, processes, business practices. What are the main policies and processes that we have that drive our business? For example, what does our selling process look like? What does the cancellation process look like? What is our cleaning and repair? What are all those processes? Are they specifically designed to accomplish the goal in the middle? Or did we just design them with our business in mind? Were they just designed to, with just those people that have to do the cleaning? Or did we really try to figure out how to impact the customer experience with our cleaning? And if we did, how might we do that? Plant equipment programming then wraps around that. All of this then has to be tightly coupled to the member experience vision and the core purpose. People in positions. A lot of you have heard me say this so many times. One of the biggest leverage points in an organization are their position descriptions, and simplifying them, ensuring that there is line of sight to the member experience in every position description, that there is a KPI that they're responsible for member experience in every position description, and then training to that, really training to that and bringing it alive in the operations. And then we have our advertising, marketing, and PR. So the advertising and marketing and PR is our external voice. So far, this is all internal voice. Advertising, marketing, and PR is our external voice that speaks to the marketplace. Now, once I'm speaking to the marketplace, my voice is now authentic when I'm speaking to the marketplace. I've designed from what we call from the inside out. My voice to the marketplace is authentic, and then I have to listen to that marketplace. So as they use my product, I have to intake information constantly. And as I take in this information, these different sets of metrics and these comments, and I'm analyzing them, they should inform each band of this. What are the things, what specific adjectives do people use when they describe us that I can use in my advertising, marketing, and PR? What are the things that people use the word love around that I can start to define and talk about in my advertising, my marketing, my PR? We have one customer called Be Fit by Bob's. They'll look at individual pieces of feedback. Well, they look at all their feedback. I think they have 5 locations. And I think 4 of their 5 locations got our 5 Nines awards. They really made a complete shift in how they were operating.
Who are they again, Blair?
It used to be called Bob's Gyms, and then a partner bought them out, and now they're Be Fit by Bob's, and they'll probably eventually sunset the Bob's name. I had them on a webinar a while back. They're really doing some outstanding stuff in their operations, and they'll look for individual comments that reflect something life-changing, right? You guys have seen this. If you read your comments, every once in a while, you're going to get one that says, when I came in, I was depressed. I'd just been divorced, and now it's become such an ingrained part. Your club has become such an ingrained part of them. It's just how they have healed from something. It could be something physical, it could be something emotional. They look for those, and then once they close the loop, they'll call that member, get permission, then they bring a videographer in, and they do 3-minute videos on their life and how they use the gym. And one of their videos, I think their community is something like, 150,000 people around this gym, and it had been viewed 88,000 times on their Facebook page.
Wow.
That's reach, right? I mean, that's using it for advertising, marketing, and PR. But then how do we use the comments? Like if there's negative comments, how do we use them to coach our people, our positions? And then the plant equipment is an easy one, you guys. That all of this should inform so that constantly you stay aligned with the member experience vision and core purpose. One of the beauties of this operating model is you don't have to worry about your damn review sites anymore. You become a 5-star review generating machine. That's how you operate. Reputation management isn't very hard. You just don't hardly ever get 1-star reviews and bad reviews out there. A lot of companies that don't do this, they spend all of their time chasing their freaking review sites. How do we, and they're responding, the freaking horse is out of the barn by the time that review is out there. Okay, now let's look at, so this is operating. Now let's look at how the member experiences it. You have your marketing so that you can talk to the marketplace. And then hopefully you convert leads into members through the sales process. And then you convert that member into somebody who enjoys coming to the gym in the onboarding process. However, whatever that is, if somebody's super used to a gym, there's not much of the onboarding process. The ongoing operations is whether they're going to keep using it, and then at some point they cancel. And through the member's eyes, it's just, I'm going to learn about you. I'm going to buy, I'm going to learn to use the product. I'm going to use the product. I'm going to stop using the product. This is true with all products and services. What we learned in this is that the buy, learn to use, and stop using are key journey points that we have to understand. And then all of that needs to inform the marketing and the learn about. We call it money on the ground, money on the table, money on the balance sheet. Money on the ground, these are quick one-on-one reach outs, money on the table. The money on the ground, you don't have to do anything internally. It's just to reach out to the customer. I'm going to show you examples of that. Money on the table, you have to do something internally with the company. Same with money on the balance sheet. Money on the balance sheet is more about culture and alignment to your member experience vision. Money on the ground, these are, a comment comes in, these are just save, sales, and servicing. It's a reach out, it's a one-on-one. Money on the table, these are efficiencies. These are finding gaps in how the customer is experiencing your product, fixing those gaps, making policy changes. Money on the balance sheet is about reducing employee churn, it's employee engagement. I'm not saying strategic alignment, I'm saying strategy alignment. Alignment to your strategy so that everybody knows what's happening in the organization. Another way to think about this is, as we go through this, money on the ground is just empowering one employee, impacting one member. Money on the table empowers a team and impacts a cohort of members. You'll see what I mean. Money on the balance sheet, that's everybody. That impacts all employees and all members. Each of these is a little harder to do. Each of these has a higher and higher return on your investment when it impacts your company. So let's look at the join experience and money on the ground. In this one, this piece of feedback, this person joined online. When we designed MXM Plus, we designed it with these 3 concepts in mind so that there were specific questions for picking up money off the ground, for making sure teams could get money off the table, and for making sure a company could get money on the balance sheet. So here's a money on the ground question. What best describes you? I'm familiar with exercising in the gym, but it's been a while. I joined online. Used to be a member, be nice to have someone show me around. Now it'd be really easy to just close the loop on this. Join experience was a 10. By the way, online, there's only one damn question we want to know when somebody joins online. How easy was it? Because that's why they're joining online. Man, that better be really easy. A lot of times they used to be a member before. This is money on the ground because all I have to do is reach out to this person and say, Ginger, I'd be happy to show you around. What time will you be in? Now that's my opportunity to connect with this person who it's been a while and take them through the gym. Remember what I said, sales, saves, and servicing. Those 3 things, that money on the ground in that join experience, the first part of that member journey. Money on the table in the join experience. This person didn't join online, they joined in person. We're going to ask them a few different things when they join in person. And this is, I'm new to exercising in a gym. Now we have some process questions. So these are things that should happen. In the sales process, when I come in, were you greeted promptly? Did we show you around? And was the membership explained thoroughly? There is no reason somebody should not be greeted promptly. And when they are not, they are far less likely to join. And if they do join, they're far less likely to be happy with the process. Show you around, that shouldn't happen every time. Because if I've been a member recently, I may not need to be shown around, and I may not want to, and I may not have the time. But the membership agreement should be explained thoroughly to avoid one-star reviews later. So in this case, I see that one of the most important ones is a no. They're new to exercising in a gym. I have a workout program that a friend of mine has been doing. It should be good. I was not wild about the forced march I was taken through when I joined. Joining should be easier. I tried to do it online, but didn't see that that was an option. Here's why this is money on the table. Several things. One, if some members are feeling like it's a forced march, like you have a rigid process for joining, you're losing out on sales. That process for joining should be flexible enough that it's a good experience for people. And this is indicating that it's not. So there's money on the table right there, something to fix. The next thing is, I tried to join online. Either it's broken or this company is not having online joins. Either way, there's money on the table right there, and a lot of it because you should be making it easy to join online. And then you can see the metrics. So that's an example of money on the table and join experience. So we look at the onboarding experience, money on the ground.
Hey, Blair,
So
I have a question. Can you go back to the previous slide?
go back.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I can. I thought.
Well, you don't have to. My question is, in your thoughts, what is being greeted promptly to you? What does that mean?
Immediately. I mean, literally within the first 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds, probably. Yeah.
And how should they be greeted?
Yeah. I mean, think about, and by the way, Medallia Insights did some phenomenal research with Macy's years ago about greeted promptly in retail. It's amazing how much bigger basket size is when somebody's just greeted promptly. It was greeted promptly and helped. And so if the people that were greeted promptly spent about 50% more than people that were not greeted promptly. People that were greeted promptly and asked if they could be helped, they spent another 50% higher, rough numbers I'm giving you. People that were greeted promptly and were helped and came in specifically hoping to be helped spent about 100% more than that. It's just this greeted promptly is such a big deal for people to purchase.
Thank you.
Yep. Onboarding experience. So this is after, this is about the first 30 to 45 days. They've come in at least 3 times. Reason for likely to recommend, you can see it was a 10 here, super clean. I'm slowly finding my way around. I like that our sentiment analysis put that in red because that's a little caution to me right there. Okay, we need to help this person. Any other thoughts? Yeah, I'm not sure what to do in here and could use some help. Love the place, but comfortable using the equipment is only a 5. The exercise routine question, the way we ask the question is, do you have an exercise routine that you believe is sustainable? What an opportunity here. And then I don't understand the services, but they feel welcome. So you can see why this one's money on the ground. This is just an easy sales servicing one. Money on the table, ongoing experience. We have designed taking the survey should be a good experience too. Shouldn't just be a long list of questions. So we designed specific innovation on how somebody takes our surveys. And they get to answer a few what we call key metrics questions. And then they can select. I would also like to get feedback on your personal training, your group fitness, and your food and beverage. Or they might just personal training, or it might just be kids club. So it's their choice what they want to give feedback on. In this case, this person wanted to get feedback on small group training, spa, and tennis. So reason for likely to recommend feels like family. Problem comment though, make sure the doors are open on time or switch 24/7. Immediately something for me to dig into.
Mhm.
Very positive, small group, great coach. Spa comment. Now I know this club, and I know this club has a big spa, it's a beautiful spa, and they make a lot of money on it. A few times there were no clean towels available. We had to walk to find a staff member to get some.
Mm.
Now, what a process thing to dig into. If I look at their metrics, I'm a little concerned because their fitness results are only a 6. So there might be money on the ground here as well. Fitness results is intended to be a money on the ground question. That's how we refer to fitness results. If that's a low score, I'm going to reach out and say, I think I can help. A lot of times people will say, well, it's not you, it's me. I'm not using it. Don't care. I still think I can help there. So this has both money on the ground and money on the table, money on the balance sheet, ongoing member experience. Reason for likely to recommend, which is only a 6. I've grown frustrated with the high turnover. I've been a member for 3 years and come in at the same time almost every weekday. It seems weird to keep having new people at the front desk every few months. We have an issue here, or at least I believe we do. And that's what I'm going to dig into. I'm going to see, how did we hire people? How are we onboarding them? Are we still? I have a very good friend, runs some incredible clubs. They got focused on a lot of remodel work, and it took a few years in all their clubs to get all the remodel stuff done. All that plant and equipment stuff rocked. And then they came back and said, okay, let's review our interview process. What they discovered was, while they were focusing on the plant and equipment, the interview process had deteriorated so much, nobody had their eye on that. And they were going through a single interview, and their employee turnover was high. And so they had to, get their arms back around that. There's a huge opportunity here. And that is pure money on the balance sheet, because that affects every member. That affects every employee. Just a few more, then we'll go into some Q&A here. Cancellation experience. Your cancellation experience should be pleasant. It should be a good experience for people. This person is inactivating their membership. We use that. We're very specific about that terminology.
I like that. Instead of canceling, huh?
Yep. And I want to inactivate my membership. And because I had a poor experience, I work out in the morning and then go to work. There's almost no way someone that needs to go from the gym to work in the morning can do it without being a major hassle. Can't hang suit up in the lockers you have to wait for a shower. Towel hook came off and never been replaced. You have to take your towel into the shower. And I hate bringing my own towel. I mean, there is so much in this. Is there, if this gym is near someplace that is, around a lot of businesses, as you all know, business people like to work out in the morning. There is so much money to be made by fixing this freaking locker room, man, by making sure their locker rooms in these clubs serve that, that cohort of employee. So a lot likelihood to rejoin. Thanks for making the cancellation very easy. But the idea behind this is that there should be context around how a system works. It should be intentionally designed to help you make money in your operations and to continuously make your operations better. I want to point out, I didn't even go into any metrics there. I didn't show aggregated metrics. Yeah, I didn't sort rank, a club owner that has 25 locations. I didn't sort rank all of their locations on a trailing 90-day equipment condition score and show you what you can do with the bottom 10%. I didn't sort rank on, overall staff friendliness and say, look, don't focus on everybody. Take the bottom 10%, the bottom 15%, get those friendliness scores up. And what'll happen? Somebody else will drop to the bottom, then work on those bottoms. And pretty soon everybody gets compressed to the top. There's so many ways that organizations have learned how to make money from their customer experience and how club operators have learned to make money from their member experience. So I'm going to leave with the top 6 process opportunities. Fixing process is inexpensive. Plant equipment is expensive. We spent a lot these past 2 years on plant equipment. It's paid off, but I always encourage people to look at their processes because it costs you time and some effort, and it has a huge impact. The sales process is one of the first processes that I think people should focus on. Find out if it's, find out what it's like, go through it yourself. Have your leaders go through it. Have your leaders go through it using different personas, someone who's been a member before and is really familiar with the gym, someone who's brand new to a gym and is very nervous about coming into a gym, use those different personas and find the holes in your process. Is it a forced march, as that one member said? And then identify how you can be flexible in that sales process or make it a great experience for people. I know most gyms have seen the age of their average member biased much lower coming out of the pandemic. A very high percentage of Gen Z works out and they're really familiar with technology. Like, they want this stuff to be so easy. They don't want to talk to a salesperson. The next thing would be your member onboarding. Another process that should have a lot of flexibility. If I'm joining your gym, my member onboarding should be, show me where stuff is, make sure I know the key people I need to know if I need some information, introduce me to the front desk person that's going to be there when I'm checking in, point me towards the weight room. That's some people, that's all they're going to need in their onboarding. Others are going to need a lot more. Others are going to need, I tell you that Midtown in Chicago, customer of ours, they have an onboarding process they call launch, and they've experimented with it for, oh gosh, they started it well before the pandemic, and obviously that got very disrupted. John Brady, the COO there, gave me some recent data. Launch, I believe they use 16, I'm going to call them personas. They're not, and that's not the word they would use. But they're these intrinsic motivators that describe something like, I want to have fun, de-stress. Those are 2 of the 16. And so when somebody joins, they say, pick one or as many of these as describes you, what you want to do. And then they pick these, and then they allow them to customize their onboarding. They get 120 minutes of free services, and that can be broken up into 60, 60, or 30, 30, 30, 30, so that they can customize their own onboarding. If you want to de-stress, I'm going to really encourage that you go to the yoga class. Now, if it is a service that's free, that doesn't cost, then the person selling the membership books to go with them to it. So if that person says, I want to do this 30-minute bike ride, and that's a free class, they schedule a time where the salesperson can go get their sweats on and go to the bike class and take them into the bike class and ride in the class with them. That counts as one of their 30 minutes of paid. And the results so far, at least as of about 5 months ago, the results so far was that the people going through the launch program, the number of visits that they have in their first 60 days is over twice as many as people not going through it. It's just really impressive. And that, of course, is a precursor to, member success. Cleaning process. If you don't have very specific defined cleaning process, and instead just have people that come in and clean, I would encourage you to put some design parameters around it. How do we use our cleaning process to create fans? How would we do that? Well, we'd probably train everybody how to clean. We might make sure we do a very conspicuous team clean with all of our own people at certain times each week. I guarantee you that the people that clean would not be wearing headphones. Their names would be prominent. People would know who they are, and you would teach them how to go out and talk with people while they're cleaning. But there's a lot of ways to design the cleaning process. Repair, the same thing. If the goal was to never see an out of order sign on the floor, what would you have to do to fix your repair processes? Employee onboarding. This to me is one of the biggest opportunities to get alignment around the member experience and to set expectations for people as they're going to be going into their new job. And then lastly, cancellations. If you haven't designed your cancellation process to be a really good experience so that people going through the cancellation process aren't ruling you out for the next time they join a gym. In fact, they're ruling you in, that this was the place I'm going to come back to. And you know you'll have this when people can use the word love to describe any of it, right? I love that when I came in to purchase my membership, and it was so easy. I love that I got introduced. I love that people were nice to me when I came in. I'd never been into a gym before. I was so scared. I love how people treated me when I came in. Right? I love that in the first 30 to 45 days of my membership, that you really took care of me in the 30 to 45 days of my membership. I love how clean your place is. I love it that every time I come in and Karen's cleaning, she always comes over and says hi to me. I love it that nothing's ever broke down. I reported something broke down, and I love that that was fixed the next day. I love it how you treated me on when I left. That's why I'm back. And that word should show up in your feedback. And if you look at the inside out model that I gave you at the beginning, spread that across that number.
Hey, Blair.
Yeah.
There you go. You're muted.
It just, I don't know how it happened. I just literally just now got something that popped up that said on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, that was weird. Yep. So if you take on the inside out model that I showed you, apply that across that member life cycle, and then just take on the task of that money on the ground, money on the table, money on the balance sheet changes, then I promise you that all of these things, you know, you'll have ROI in your program. And that's it, Ginger. I'll stop right there. We have about 7 minutes.
Okay, so let's just open it up, Blair, and y'all can ask Blair, even if there's not any questions about this, if there's anything you want to know.
I'll throw something out there too. I'll just get on a little bit of a soapbox here. Not that I haven't been the whole time here anyway. If you're not familiar with Project 435, they are doing some breakouts on it. If you're not signed up for that breakout, at least please learn about Project 435. There are 435 congressional districts in the United States. There are 10 here in the state of Washington. Project 435 is from National Health and Fitness Alliance and IRSA. And the idea is to get passionate fitness professionals in each of those congressional districts to reach out and learn your congressperson's name, make sure they know who you are. They'll be doing some training on how to do that if you don't know already. I think a lot of us learned a lot about that in the last 2 years. And they'll also be producing, Project 435 will also be producing a monthly communique. I already have a meeting with our Congresswoman Kim Schreier. She's meeting me at our Wenatchee location Sunday at 12:30 this week. So I signed up, I'm committed to it, and I hope others do that as well. Oh, all right. Any questions? I'm happy to answer any questions or.
Yeah, y'all can either unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can raise your hand, whichever one you want to.
Can't believe Todd doesn't have a question.
Well, he's usually trouble, you know.
I know, it would be something completely non sequitur, probably. But then I'll keep going here for a second. I am not completely familiar with how Medallia is set up for the Gold's Gym franchisees. And Ginger, if at some point as given access, you know, and then I could, you know, possibly, unless you guys already have this, you know, do training session on how to accomplish some of this using the system as it's set up too.
You're volunteering something?
Is this recorded? All right.
Well, okay. Well, let me, let's see. I'm going to share my screen. And first, let me thank Blair. As usual, you always have something that's pertinent and something that we can actually walk right into back into the gym and talk to our staff about and each other and make very useful. And everybody needs money, right? We need money whether it's on the ground table or wherever it is. So thank you again. And so just so everybody knows, the next session is going to be a speed session, the next two, 12:15 to 12:30, and then 12:30, 12:45. At 12:45, we have a break. And then we have our session B. Excuse me. So hopefully everybody has decided which, room you're going to go into. And I'm going to stop this recording first. Let's see. No, I'm not, because I can't do it while I'm sharing here. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and ask everybody to move into the next room you want to go into, or if you want to, and Bob, I think I see you on here. Bob Casey with ABC Fitness Solutions is going to be in the breakout room 1. So if you want to hear Bob talk about the new Ignite, and we also actually have I think, Bob, you're going to talk about this whenever you have your session, but we have a webinar on this next week for Bob for ABC. And then as you see, the next breakout room at number 2 is Buck and Power Systems Together. 3 is Europa, which is Justin Weeks, and he called me earlier today and said he has a PowerPoint, and I almost fell on the floor. And then I do have 2 chats here, and then Matrix is in the room. Oh, how sweet. Room 4. So
And
Ari says that, Blair, you're amazing and we love your face. How sweet is that? That is so Ari Price.
that's awesome. She's awesome.
And she has a talkcast, a GGFA talkcast in April. So you should be seeing that. Excuse me.
And by the way, I've seen a bunch of the ABC's Ignite stuff. They're doing some really freaking cool stuff, man.
They are. I know it.
Yeah.
And every one of these vendors are top in terms of like supporting the franchisees and the GGFA too. In fact, let me look. Yeah, ABC, Buck, Power, Europa, and Matrix, all of them are the top 5 supporters of the franchisee and the association, just so you'll know. So thank you for that, Bob. You look so handsome. There you are. Yeah.
Hey, I try, I gotta, keep up with you and do my best.
Well, listen, Justin Weeks, when he called me earlier about having a PowerPoint, he said he can't sell anything anymore just on his look. So he's got to have a PowerPoint. So, okay, I want to go ahead and stop the sharing and stop the